And even to this day, I do still openly talk about it, especially when I get asked, "Oh, do you have any kids?" by complete strangers, and it's an incredibly invasive question. And I almost always answer that with, "No, but I miscarried twins." And it's not to make them uncomfortable, and it's not to be mean or anything like that. It's acknowledging the fact that my twins meant something to me, and also challenging the invasiveness of that question, because one, if you have to ask, you don't know me well enough to be asking. And two, it's also a thing of that's not an appropriate question to ask a stranger. That you don't even remember my name when you're asking about my parenting history. And it's just an invasive question, and it causes when I say I miscarried twins in response, because a lot of times it'll go, "Oh, you have any kids?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, great, just wait." And I'm like, first of all, again, you're a stranger. How can you tell me when to have children? And also, you don't know my story. And when people say things like that, and they're like, "Okay, good, wait," it's also like, you don't know if I'm waiting. I could be struggling to conceive at this very moment, and you would have no idea.
Or you don't want them.
Or that I even want them. Like, who knew Gabrielle Union had 9 pregnancies until she decided to speak about it? She was out living her best life, married to Louis Way, loving her inherited children, like just out there living. Then she tells the world, it's like, and I'm pretty sure there've been plenty of interviews where they were like, "Oh, are you guys gonna have kids?"
Yeah.
Well, we're trying. Like, give me a break. So I challenge the desire to not make people uncomfortable, because they're making you uncomfortable. And I think you deserve to validate your losses. I think you deserve to acknowledge it. And I don't think you should live in silence just because somebody else might get uncomfortable. Because also, when I say I'm miscarried twins, I'm very often met with, "I've miscarried a baby too." And it feels good to them to not feel alone. And sometimes you do have to be that person to say, "I've experienced this," and then allow somebody to say, "Me too," and not to combine those movements. But the reason that took so rapidly is because all it took was one person to have the courage to open up, and it's like, "Oh, I am validated. I do deserve to feel away."